First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, welcome to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. As always, thanks for joining us here today. We are live every weekday at 1 p.m. Pacific, so we are streaming on our apps, on the website, and of course on our social media channels where you can join in the conversations that we get to have. And today, as you can see by what's written right there, we're discussing something pretty serious, and we're talking about guns and violence and fentanyl use, drug overdoses, all of that happening in downtown Portland. And there is clearly a lot of coverage associated with these. There's been some very big news stories about that. There were 3 gun deaths just in the downtown Portland area over the last several days. And we're going to give you some context of that after we play our interview that we're going to be doing. So what I want you to do is stick around after our interview. The interview, though, is with Portland City Commissioner Renee Gonzalez. And I sat down with him here just this morning. We're going to play this. We address some of the things that are going on in the city, some of the ways the city is trying to tackle these issues, some of the ways that they're cooperating or not cooperating. All of that is going to be associated with their work with the county, with the state. So a lot of things are covered in this interview in a pretty short amount of time. So we'll come back after that and we'll talk about it a little bit more, give it a little more context, but let's jump right into it. Here it is, Renee Gonzalez. You're on Fox 12 Now. Oregon State Police have been instituted to do bike patrols in downtown Portland alongside the Portland Police. And I was wondering, from your opinion, why that was implemented, and have you seen any positive results from that in the short amount of time that it's been used?
It's necessary because we don't have enough police officers on the streets of Portland, and we're dealing with the drug crisis. So we need to deploy every tool in the city, county, and state to confront that. The presence is making a difference. We'd like to see even more of it, but it's disrupting some criminal behavior, and it's also sending a very clear message and image that's very, very helpful.
And do you anticipate any more use of the Oregon State Police to work side by side with the Portland Police beyond this implementation?
The city would like them to be present 24/7, and we'd certainly like to have even more resources available. But we'll take whatever we can get, and we'll continue to be strong advocates for a greater police presence in confronting these decisions.
Talking about, disrupting some of the crime downtown, I wanted to focus just a little bit on the gun violence. Just recently, in the last several days, there's been 3 shooting deaths in downtown Portland, 4 citywide as a whole. What is being done beyond this use case of more Oregon State Police to try to curb some of the violence, and what would you advocate that the city do?
Yeah, so that falls under the mayor's domain. There's a gun intervention team. Here's the good news and the bad news. The good news is that we are overall trending below last year's gun violence numbers, at least in terms of homicides. But we have seen a spike here this last couple of days, which is concerning, and we're still high above historic averages. So there's a gun intervention team that's operating to do targeted de-escalation. And frankly, there's having more police presence on the streets has a positive impact. But we are continuing to face as a society the aftermath of COVID and lockdowns that disrupted schools, that disrupted economic activity. So I think we also need to keep an eye on fixing the things upstream that are contributing to violence in our community. We have to do both. We have to address it with criminal justice response and direct intervention, but we also have to do everything in our power to get folks happy again, connected again, with economic opportunity and prospects in the city of Portland. And we've got to do all of the above.
And that's definitely a multi-pronged approach. Can you focus on any one of those things that you would like to implement first? Is there something that takes a higher priority?
I think, bottom line, we have to have more police officers on our streets. And, there is a good pipeline. We're over 800 sworn right now. But that is for those involved in some of these violent crimes, that rarely are they committing just one. It often leads to further. And so the earlier we disrupt these cycles of violence, the better. Separately, we do have some behavioral health issues in our community that is contributing to some of the homicides, not all of them. And that's just partnering with the county and the state to make sure good behavioral health services are online. Again, that's not the whole story on gun violence, but it is, or much less violence in community, but it is a component right now that we need to work with our partners on.
Looking at the Portland police side of things, there is a new interim chief here for quite a while, it sounds like. And do you have any thoughts on the new chief and any hopes or expectations here for this interim service?
Well, very, very experienced, knows the city of Portland very well. And those are both big assets. We're going to be sitting down together tomorrow with some Black church leaders and just to connect with different parts of the community. The expectation is we need to restore real and perceived public safety in the city of Portland. And we need to see real progress there. It still seems to be, number one or number two on Portland's list. And it's the real numbers of violent crimes need to come down, as well as the perception of public safety needs to increase. And so to me, that's crystal clear. That's got to be the focus every single day.
Something else that you've advocated for is a public health declaration, a public health emergency declaration, excuse me. So can you talk to us about what that would entail and how you would actually go about applying that?
Yeah, so public health declaration would, at some level, may need to be made at the county level. But that, if it's done at the county level, that can free up certain resources that aren't at our disposal right now. But more broadly, it allows us to reevaluate some previous policy decisions we've made where there were cost-benefit analysis that drives you to go one direction or another. So, for example, when do we confiscate drugs that are being used on the streets of Portland? There are some legal liability issues associated with confiscation for the city. Is it time to revisit that? And that's when we're disrupting behaviors, but are short of full-on arrest. Our ambulance protocols, currently it's 2 paramedics in the region. We're seeing a number of instances of level 0 ambulance levels, and that's directly related to the overdose problems, along with some other public health concerns. If we do a public health declaration, does that give us an opportunity to reevaluate the current staffing requirements for ambulances in the region? So I'd start with those, but really put everything on the table in terms of decisions the city and the county have made, where maybe we can be more aggressive on public use and its side effects.
Is there any kind of additional funding that would free up for a use case in the city?
We're still evaluating that, but a public health emergency declaration at the county level can free up some funds. Not necessarily, it's a little less clear if the city were to do it on its own, but we're in early stages in analyzing those options right now.
Just mentioning this, since you're talking about the county, we've got the state police down, in downtown Portland. How have you felt about the cooperation between the state, the city, the county, and those organizations?
Well, every bit of help is appreciated. I think sometimes the city's been out there as a leader trying to respond to the crisis on the streets. We hear every single day from ordinary Portlanders that are impacted by the violence and the crime in our community. So we're working as diligently as we can to be responsive to those concerns to fundamentally protect. County and the state sometimes have been a little bit further removed from it, but they are starting to step up, and we're appreciative of every bit of help we can get. I do think as a broader community, all levels of government need to keep the eyes focused on ordinary citizens and what they are dealing with in the city of Portland. And right now, that's too much crime and a loss of sense of safety in the city that we need to work on every single day at all levels of government.
Well, Commissioner, last question, we focused on those issues. I do want to ask, is there anything where you've seen positive forward momentum that gives you hope for the future here going forward for the city of Portland?
Yeah, 911 wait times are down. We are seeing a decrease in homeless fires since we started to increase the sweeping of camps and stopped handing out tents and tarps at the city level. So we are seeing some positive policy outcomes from decisions we've made, and we're going to keep. We're going to keep at it in terms of wait times for 911. We have a good pipeline of professionals that will further alleviate that. So I'm optimistic about the direction it's going there. It's not enough, but we're plowing away at it every day.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you joining us to talk about this, and hopefully we can catch up here in the future once we see some more of these plans get into place.
Sounds good. Very nice to meet you.
All right, there we go. Cut off the very end there, but that was Renee Gonzalez, again, Police City Commissioner, addressing some of those issues, as we said right there, guns and fentanyl. So we covered a lot during that short amount of time, and I wanted to provide a little bit more context, especially with some various news stories that we have covered here at Fox 12 Oregon, to give a little bit more information about some of the things I talked about, because I began by mentioning that the Oregon State Police are being utilized for bike patrols in downtown Portland alongside Portland Police. Our own Connor McCarthy did a story on this very recently, so we're going to go ahead and play that package just to give you a little bit more information about what that is.
Well, businesses that I talked to today say the more help, the better. PPB says there are 4 officers on their bike squad, so 1 extra officer on their team is another set of eyes that will help look for anything suspicious. Now, troopers patrolling downtown Portland is part of Governor Tina Kotek's plan to try to curb fentanyl distribution in Oregon. It's day 1 for a select few Oregon State troopers who will be helping the Portland Police Central Bike Squad patrol downtown.
This morning we did a briefing with them. We took them out to downtown, got them a cup of coffee, the kind of the Portland welcome.
Officer David Bear is one of 4 on the Central Bike Squad. He says he welcomes Governor Tina Kotek's help by sending in troopers to assist them in their fight to stop crime in the city core.
Having more than 4 officers to do high visibility enforcement and just be out in the community in uniform, being that visible crime deterrent, just really helps our capacity out.
Bear says depending on OSP's contribution to staffing, they could have anywhere from 4 to 8 troopers on bikes with Portland police officers. The troopers on patrol is one part of the governor's overall mission to crack down on fentanyl distribution in Oregon.
That our concern is fentanyl dealing and the use of firearms regarding the fentanyl trade. But, we're also looking for stolen cars that are out in the area. We're looking for no-plated vehicles. We're looking for wanted persons from burglaries and robberies.
We did catch some of the troopers on patrol in Old Town. They approached a woman experiencing homelessness and chatted with her for a bit before taking off. On their Instagram page, they showed troopers already making an arrest at the old Greyhound bus station.
It's just nice to have their presence down here.
Kristen Martin owns a dog treat food cart in downtown. She says not only does the Central Bike Squad help people feel secure at the food cart pod she is at, she says they're also very positive about the future of downtown.
Downtown has kind of like a big community. We all support each other, and it's just nice to have their support as well.
Martin also supports troopers joining the bike squad on patrol in the area.
And I think whatever we can do to make Portland a better place is the best thing that we can be doing. I think as long as we maintain that positivity and inclusion and not make anybody anybody's enemy, it's really important that we have those resources down here to support that.
Now it's unclear how long Oregon State troopers will be patrolling with Portland Police, but PPB does say that they're looking forward to working with OSP as they patrol the core of the Rose City. In downtown Portland, Connor McCarthy, Fox 12 Oregon.
All right, so there we go. That was Connor's report just about those Oregon State patrols in downtown Portland that we addressed there with Renee Gonzalez. So again, giving a little bit of context and backstory here to some of the questions that I asked during that interview. The one other package I want to play here is actually from Paulina Aguilar, and it has to do with the 8 overdoses in the North Park blocks that happened a week or so ago. And, this was all happening at one time. And a huge thing that occurred right there. So I just want to go ahead and play that to give that a little bit more context as well.
Emergency crews were called to Northwest Cooch Street and Northwest Park Avenue near the playground area after 8 people overdosed while ingesting a white powder that Portland Fire and Rescue believe was laced with fentanyl. Portland Fire and Rescue say all 8 people received Narcan and that 4 people went to the hospital. They also say a citizen who was nearby administered their own Narcan to one person before emergency crews arrived. We spoke with Amy, who has lived in the area for almost 3 years. She says she carries Narcan herself.
I thought I would have to use it a few times. I mean, I've come close. I've asked people, like, are you okay? Do you need Narcan? But there's some people who don't want to be Narcaned, you know what I mean? Because it ruins their high. And so, I mean, when I asked that question to that man that day, he was kind of upset with me because he didn't want to be Narcan.
Amy says it's normal for people in the area to carry Narcan.
Everybody I know carries it.
She walks her dog every day and says it's heartbreaking to see people struggle just outside her front door.
Every day I think I'm afraid that somebody's dead in the park. Like, I literally wait there to make sure they're breathing. Like, it's so bad.
But for safety reasons, she'll change her route.
I won't come out after dark. This is where my dog and I go. And so we're basically forced to see it unless we go somewhere else.
Amy says though she's willing to help, sometimes it goes unwanted.
Like, if something were to happen to this person and they refuse Narcan, is it my fault? You know what I mean? Like, how do you deal with something like that? 'Cause I don't want to see anybody die. You know, I love people. Everybody deserves a chance to live, even addicts. So that's why I carry it.
All right, so there we go. That was, again, Paulina Aguilar's report there. So some pretty heavy stuff that we covered here in this topic, but some very serious issues that are going on. That's why I wanted to speak to the City Commissioner of Public Safety about his thoughts on that and where we're at with that. So you can leave your thoughts and comments on our social media channels. So depending on where you're watching, we are live streaming on Facebook and YouTube. And feel free to drop in, what you think about that. And we can address that from there. We do have more here on Fox 12 Now. So this is just one part of the day. If this is your first time joining us, we live stream every weekday at 1 p.m. Pacific, and we cover a wide range of topics here on this show, whether it's deeper dives or speaking to city officials about public health issues, or perhaps it's talking about an event that's coming up or something even lighter or different than that. We really do cover a lot of different things, and that's why we segment these out just a little bit. On the other side of things, if you're watching live, coming up at 1:30 p.m., I'm going to be talking about pet technology. So quite a different switch there, but I do have Eric G. from Around the House Northwest who's going to join for that segment. So if you'd like to join that, please, wherever you're watching right now, you can go right back there. If you'd like to watch our past segments, the Fox 12 Oregon YouTube channel is a great way, or downloading the Fox 12 Oregon app on your phone, hitting the Fox 12 Now button, then you can go in there. Of note, Paulina and I actually had a long conversation for a segment here for Fox 12 Now about that report that we just played, and it's really good and a lot of insight into not only what she saw, just a further explanation and expanding on that, but also what it's like for a reporter going out and reporting on these things in the middle of something like that. And she's very honest in that interview, so I do recommend looking that one up and checking out that conversation that we got to have. But thanks for joining us. As always, you can email me, fox12now@kptv.com. So send me that if there's something that you think should be looked at, if there's a segment you want to find out more about, or if you want to do a deeper dive with one of our reporters, we can do all of that right here. But I'm signing off for right now. I'll be back shortly. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.